Hi everybody, I'm smoking my meerschaum pipe and you can see it's already colouring, which is quite nice. It's got a nice sort of colour down there and even better up here. And the little, what I use as a handhold when it gets hot. My other pipes are colouring as well, particularly this one. It's beginning to colour. You'll notice the burn mark there. It's got a pen hole in it. Doesn't affect the smoking, but whether that was done when I pulled out the wire plug that was in it, or whether I've done it, or whether it was there all the while, I don't know. I mean, maybe that was why the person left the wire plug in forever. In it, I'm smoking Peterson's St. Patrick's Day, and I've done a review on that and just put it up. A lovely pipe. What I wanted to do is talk a little bit about a problem that I've got, and then just a general ramble. I went to have my diabetes check. We're supposed to have it nearer our birthdays, but for some reason mine is nearer my wife's birthday. And my sugars are well under control. My blood pressure's up, which I expected because I smoke. It's not too bad, but they've increased my blood pressure tablets. The more problematical thing is my heart. My pulse is very high. I think it's about 100 beats a minute. Now that's too high. I don't know whether it's caused by smoking or not. I'm not going to take any action about smoking until I know what it's caused by and if it's can be resolved. If it can't, and if they can definitely say, look, you've got to stop smoking, then I'll have to. I won't want to, and I'd like to stay part of this group even if that happens. But you might prefer that it is just for smokers, pipe smokers and cigar smokers, which would be fair enough. If so, then I'll move on and we'll see what happens. But that's in the future. I might not have to make that decision. The other thing is I might not make the decision anyway if they say, look, this is dangerous. Because I've got so much out of this group, it's meant so much to me and means so much to me that I have to balance my happiness against the length of my life. You know that I'm an odd bod. I have very different sort of views on life and death, I think. I think that's partly because I've faced it so many times in other people's lives, and I know it's a part of living. Dying frightens me, but death doesn't. It's just the process. I remember somebody who was Roy Castle, a television star in England, was dying of cancer, and he referred to it as his last great adventure. You know, that moment when you pass forward. But anyway, that's the little problem I've got, so I would value your prayers for that. I didn't know whether to mention it or not. But I thought I would. I'm just looking over at my tobacco and thinking, I don't want to give up, because what the dickens am I going to do with all that? And before Tim puts his hand up, yeah, some of it can go to Tim, but what I might do is just send it to people. But anyway, it's been a nice day for me today. I've been watching some of my favourite sports. I love cycling. Well, watching cycling, I mean. So that's been on this afternoon. Rugby League's been on, which I like, Super League. And ski jumping's been on. So poor Carolyn's been there reading her e-book and doing her quilt. But she's very good like that. Allows me to watch those three things. St. Patrick's Day is sort of an odd day for me, because I don't really keep saints' days in one sense. I'm not a great celebrator. I mean, birthdays, Christmas and Easter are sometimes more of a bore than of anything else. And I'm not a great family man. I mean, I am with my children. They're very special. But thinking of sort of parents, well, they were so disruptive to my life that they don't come into it. And close relatives like aunts, uncles and cousins, I just haven't kept in touch with. It's not because I don't like them, it's just that it wasn't my way. It wasn't the way my mother was, it wasn't the way my father was. And I suppose I caught that to a certain extent. And as a child I was very much a loner. And when I was growing up I was a loner. I just didn't fit in with the families. I didn't fit in with other kids at school. I just didn't think the same way. And I sometimes wonder whether I think the same way as other people now. I guess we're more alike than we are apart. But I could count my friends on one hand. And most of those are gay. One friend we had, which I've talked about a lot, is David. And both Carolyn and I said if we weren't married, we'd have tried to marry him. I suppose I'm just comfortable in the world. I'm quite happy to meet people, talk to people. I enjoy parties and that kind of thing, but there's something about me that's an introvert. You might not believe that because I put up these videos and some of them have been quite lively and outrageous. But that's more me than anything else. It's meant that my mind sort of works in a different way. I collect useless information. I was a great reader. I could read at 3 years old. I could read the Sunday newspaper. Jezebel's trumpet, as my father called it, the news of the world that had all the scandal in it. Suppose you don't really want to know about that, but never mind. At the moment I'm drinking cold tea, which is, cheers, beard, good on you. It's snowing outside. The beast from the east, and I don't mean the Russian Parliament and that kind of thing, has come back in force. I really believe in climate change. And people mistake that for saying everything's going to get warmer. Well, in some ways it is. But it could go two ways in England. We have the Gulf Stream, which comes up to Scotland and basically keeps us in a temperate zone. Well, if the Gulf Stream changes, then we could be Ice Age here, which will be interesting. If it doesn't, then gradually things can become warmer by 2 or 3 degrees, and that will mean that we have to think about the crops that we grow in our garden. Maybe tobacco will become easier to grow in England, I don't know. But it doesn't bother me in one way, because I probably won't be here when it all blows up. The more important problem we have at the moment is plastic. We're ingesting it without realising it. This microplastic that's in fish, in animals, and we just didn't think about it when we started using it for cosmetics and for packaging and for various other things. But never mind. I'm aware that I'm being very, how can I put it, pessimistic at the moment. I've been reading my book that I read you a quote from, the Gin Lane Gazette. And was interested to find that one of the big bets that was placed during the reign of George, one of the Georges, was one of the members of the club in London bet that he could deliver a letter 50 miles away in an hour. Well, of course, everybody took the bet. And some of the money that was placed on it was very, very big money. The way he did it was he got a lot of cricket players, particularly English sport, worked out where they would have to stand in a circle so that he could calculate 50 miles. He then placed the letter in a ball and got them to throw the ball as fast as they could around the circle for as long as they could. When it was worked out, the ball travelled far more than 50 miles in less than an hour, much less than an hour, and so he won his bet, even though it was a rather odd way to win it. He could prove the ball had travelled 50 miles with the letter in it, so therefore the letter was delivered. Just shows you how deceiving people can be, just to make money. Some of the other stories, as one of the books is advertised, is of all the halls in London, giving their addresses, their description of beauty or not, a description of their health, a description of their prices, and so on. And on the west bank of the Thames, there are a lot of whorehouses. These were owned by the Bishop of Winchester. So the ladies of dubious reputation were known as the Winchester geese, in honour of the bishop, his Winchester geese. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because it's 16 minutes and I'm probably boring you. I'd value your prayers about my health and any thoughts you have on whether smoking does cause the heart rate to go up, and I know it does the blood pressure a bit. Other than that, my usual finishing to you: may you and your family be richly blessed. May blessings pour down upon you as the rain or the snow, and may it fill your life with good things. And may your God always and everywhere go with you, and may he never leave you. And for those who find it difficult to believe in God, then just live. Live life in all its fullness, the good and the bad, because it's too short.